spoilers. What's up guys, Alfonso here, and here we are to do a spoiler discussion for chapter 242 of Jujutsu Kaisen, which is known as, I don't know, some variation on Idiot Survivor. I genuinely have no clue. I never, and I think I do always like see the chapter title names, but I don't ever actually remember them. I never do. So maybe I shouldn't get mad at Gege for never switching up the chapter titles, because if I'm not going to remember them, why bother changing them up? But this chapter, once again, it continues my whole thing that I had with chapter 241 and a retrospective and retroactive appreciation for 240 in general, with the juicy, scrumdiddlyumptious character work. Though admittedly this chapter starts diving further and further into the insanity that I appreciate this fight's going to be. Though admittedly it's hard to tell how much longer this fight's going to be based on the end of this chapter, and I'm kind of concerned once again for our boy Takuba's fate. We got a lot to cover, so let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. What's up guys, I got Pencil here. Fun fact, I have it on me. I keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Kenny, my boy, when you gonna learn, broski? You gotta stop pulling out these curses. These special grade curses up against these special grade monsters, these special grade sorcerers, because Kenny opens up the chapter, getting a whole bunch of people all hyped and ready, thinking, oh, we're going to have a conventional battle once again. He summons this very interesting curse, I will admit. It has 3 horns, it has 4 eyes, like Sukuna. It has a big old mustache, it has a long, I guess like a mane-esque thing, like a long, wavy string of hair. It has this gigantic axe. Overall, just a really proper, intimidating curse spirit. You can even see Kenjaku after last chapter. He's really locked in, right? Sure, he was willing to entertain Takuba in a sense. He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Go ahead, you can try and make me laugh, but you ain't like that for real. And he goes to show that Takuba's not like that for real. And he's still under the assumption that Takuba's confidence is in the dirt, pretty much crushed, right? Because while we had a whole flashback with Takuba that took up a whole chapter where we like reconsidered his past, his ideology, his background, and he sort of had this internal awakening to his real purpose and the idea of taking comedy seriously, Kenjaku was just like in real time. So like, while Takuba may have had like a multi-year flashback, it may have taken like 5 seconds in real time. And Leslie Kenny believes that now that he's broken Takuba's spirit, he's broken Takuba's confidence, it's likely that cursed spirits will work again because, well, the phenomena is no longer being rejected. What is funny does not matter anymore. So he goes in for this cursed spirit, but immediately, the cursed spirit gets hit by a truck. Almighty truck-coon indeed. That is... I give Gege credit for their legitimate insanity. Like, if you've been in the fandom for the past week, ever since the break, like, there's definitely been a general increase in the level of insanity. Like the break caused a Satoru Gojo level shift where the insanity just leveled up a whole different degree in the community. But it feels like it's even stemming from the manga itself, because the juxtaposition of the reveal of this special grade crazy curse, I think it even gets a name and stuff like that, like something with an A, all that. You expect it to do something and then it just gets hit by a truck. A very well detailed truck too. It just absolutely splatters the whole curse. Now, this is another special grade curse with a name and all that we will never get to learn the abilities of, but like, Gege's been on the path for that for a hot minute. Curse spirit manipulation literally allows for anything, but Gege making more abilities for curse spirits that would be one-offs and stuff like that. I get why he doesn't go too in-depth for it. But of course, with the curse spirit being ran over by a truck that did not exist before, the phenomena has restarted. Takuba has re-engaged. And naturally, Kenjaku is no more than a player in Takuba's little game. As we see that with Kenjaku and his little cursed spirit run over, he's shaking, he's freaking and geeking, and suddenly reality shifts. And once again, I do wonder, like, what is going on in the real world? Because, like, they, like, change scenery. Kenjaku's forcefully changed fits. There's, like, 2 other human beings there with him magically. Takuba's suddenly in a completely different outfit, and he's driving the car. He actually has a shirt on now, and, like, pants. Like, there's such a, like, it's such a drastic shift in reality that, like they aren't even in the same location anymore. Remember, they were fighting like in front of the woods near water, but like now they're in the middle of a city street. Like, so much has changed. I wonder how much of this is genuinely manifested phenomena. Like, if you were to go to where Kenjaku and Takuba are fighting, if you were to look at it from a distance, like put a telescope on it, would you suddenly see a whole chunk of the forest just replaced, like swapped out for this alternate scenery? Would there be, did these human beings just not exist? Were they taken from somewhere, or were they literally born of Takuba's imagination? These are the police officers. Does Kenny's outfit just cease to exist for a little bit as he switches over to the police outfit? I don't know. And I think the internal insanity and question behind my lack of knowledge honestly makes it funnier. Because I can only just imagine, like, Kenjaku being confused, even though he's playing out the bit. Because once again, we see when Takuba, when he's really feeling it, I'm really feeling it, he's, like, bending reality casually. It's something that he's just doing pretty much on accident. So, him fundamentally breaking the laws of the universe is actually just genuinely hilarious to me. And we see that Kenjaku is now dressed like a police officer because he's here to deal with a hit and run, or at least more so a hit, much less a run. And he goes to interrogate Takuba, and Kenny naturally asks the question like, "Hey, broski, you know, you just hit a poor innocent civilian," referring to Kenjaku, "and you hit a poor innocent curse," referring to whatever the curse was. So Kenjaku asked Takuba to take a breathalyzer test to see if he was sipping and dripping when it came to what he was driving. But the breathalyzer test has something to do with I don't, like, once again, I know this is halfway through the transformations, or like the activation of Takuba's technique making absolutely no sense, and also me not having like the genuine translation, so I really don't know what's going on. But like, I think the fish is already cooked. Like, the fish is literally just, so this breathalyzer test to determine whether or not Takuba is like driving legal, I have no idea. And suddenly we shift scenes again. Once again, we're mystically, magically in a hospital. Like, I have no idea, but we shift over to a hospital. The fish was a goldfish initially. It was like barely bigger than Kenjaku. Well, no, it could literally fit in Kenjaku's palm. But then now they have this gigantic fish. Takuba and Kenjaku are now both doctors in the midst of a hospital. Once again, what is happening? Did the roadside they were at just magically disappear and get replaced with this hospital? Is this hospital like a pocket reality? Is this whole thing like a pocket reality? Like, did Takuba accidentally and inadvertently activate his domain expansion? Does Takuba have a barrierless domain and that's just consistently changing the world around them? I have not a clue. We see Takuba, it's Dr. Takuba and Dr. Jaku. They go in to defibrillate the fish to try and bring it back to life, since the fish was cooked before the breath. Well, it wasn't cooked, but it was cooked before the breathalyzer test could even be ran. But instead of Kenjaku, you know, shocking the fish, you know, to try and get it back up with the defibrillator, he very specifically hits Takuba with it. And we see that Takuba's skeleton gets lit up and everything. Like, this is, it's that brand of humor that genuinely makes me question my sanity and my standards. Like, I don't know what, I found this super duper funny when I was initially just reading through the raws. And we see that ultimately, even though Kenjaku did shock Takuba, it didn't really do anything. And in fact, it seems like the fish took the brunt of the damage, because now it's like completely stripped of all its meat. And we see Kenjaku all sad over the fish because it's flatlined, and Takuba comforting Kenjaku. And suddenly Kenjaku like, how many, I know a bunch of people are going to be happy to see this panel of Kenjaku / Geto in a nurse outfit. And, technically, I wouldn't be shocked if Kenjaku wore this in one of their past lives. But suddenly, Kenjaku shifts over to a nurse, but we see this maybe a byproduct of his own imagination kicking in and affecting the human reality, because Takaba's just not very happy with the nurse switch up. They're both supposed to be doctors, which is once again playing into the absolute rabid insanity of the situation. And we see that ultimately they decide, fine, if you want to play nurse and I want to play doctor, we got to settle this the old-fashioned way, like two gentlemen, or at least the closest thing that we can be to gentlemen. And they immediately go to play some Jajan Ken, some rock, paper, scissors. And they switch back to their canon outfits. Takaba back in his original outfit as the doctor, and Kenjaku back in his traditional robes. And they sing a little song, and they immediately throw it out at each other. Or at least they do the dance, and they both immediately launch off. And they both went for scissors because they both immediately catch each other's nostrils. Kenjaku's a little bit more pointed. He gets both of Takaba's nostrils, while Takaba gets his whole finger in Kenjaku's nostril. And once again, while we see Takaba from the electrocution to the goldfish to even this little exchange, he takes pretty much no damage. Kenjaku, from that little nose grab, he actually starts dripping from the nose. Kenjaku was genuinely experiencing pain from this. However, considering Takaba's doing his hardest, as he said, his goal is to make 100% of people laugh, including critics like Kenjaku, the comedy keeps on going. And we see Kenjaku realize something just based on his own nurse shift and stuff like that, and the variances and the ability to conflict talk about all within this weird comedy realm. To a degree, the comedian doesn't just manifest any of Takaba's phenomena or anything of Takaba would find funny. It also ends up manifesting what Kenjaku would find funny. Even if only subconsciously, because Kenjaku keeps losing himself to the saws. You see, this is a trend across the chapter. He gets wrapped up in the bits, and sometimes it's conscious, but sometimes it's not. He's very consistently falling in and out of reality, because the insanity keeps happening. And notably, Takaba's ability is implied to not just manipulate, general phenomena in the sense that we've seen it doing so far, but also manipulate the mind of any of its victims. It's sort of... it softens their common sense, and notably as a guy with very little common sense, this kind of ability just seems extra strange. I still can't believe Kenny accidentally awakened this in this random guy. But we see that in this game show that they're now locked into, this other person who I wonder, it got animated. Grammy from Bleach. We saw Grammy create life using the Visionary. We saw him make another Sternritter, if you will, with their own Sternritter ability and stuff like that. So, how sentient are these beings that Takaba creates? Are they real people? Are they ripped from anywhere? Are they not? What is happening here? Because they're in a game show, and Kenjaku and Takaba immediately get to competing. And Kenjaku, despite his infinite knowledge, seems to struggle in the face of this game show. And we see he tries to fight back, and he does end up winning. But suddenly they're met with a proposition. These two doors. And they immediately charge for it. Once again, I love this chapter on a character level for Kenjaku. The reason I like Kenjaku more than a character like Sukuna is because of how silly and goofy he is, and obviously the whole scientist angle. But seeing him, whether it be consciously or not, be so goofy, it just hits so well for me. I just greatly appreciate it, and I love seeing it in action. And we see that both Takaba and Kenny run to their respective door because this has got to be an easy answer. But in the midst of their dash to the door, once again reality shifts. It keeps changing. The bits keep evolving, and I know I've been to a couple comedy shows in my life. I've watched a couple comedy specials, and this is realistically true to form. Jokes keep moving. You kind of don't want stagnancy. So it makes sense how everything keeps moving, but the shifting just once again makes me question, is the guy from before, is the individual from before gone? Does he no longer exist anymore? Did he have a family or anything? Like, what happened to that guy? But we see as reality shifts once again, they're back in the open street, and Takaba sees a poor little cat crossing the street on its own, and Takaba's like, oh no, not a cat, let me save it, as it's about to get hit by a car. And we see that as Takaba goes to save the cat and the taxi comes rolling, the cat's actually Kenjaku. I swear this is a fever. I literally had to go to sleep after like getting a glance at these. I was like, there's no way this is actually real. But nope, after sleeping, and this is definitely real. And we see that Kenjaku ends up fainting Takaba, and Takaba does get hit by the car, just like Kenjaku and his curse got truck-cooned earlier. But we see Takaba bounces off, but still there's no real damage, and Takaba himself is now a cat for some reason. Like, I don't know, it's super duper weird. And now they're floating in the ocean once again. Like, does any of this count? Like, did Takaba just create an ocean, an open sea? Like, what is like, can we use this for scaling it? I have no clue. But they're now in an open sea, and Kenjaku's able to shred the Gnar pretty wickedly. It's shout outs to Takaba for being able to drive a jet ski. I don't know, I know how to drive a jet ski, but like, that's a little bit difficult, I'm not gonna lie. And we see he literally slams Kenjaku over the back of the head with the jet ski, and Kenjaku gets splashed with water. And we see once again the mania of the situation starts to like leak into Kenjaku's brain. Like, he starts losing control of himself again as he starts playing with Takaba in the water. And once again, this is another character thing I like. Kenjaku, subconsciously or not, because once again it seems like the comedian, since Takaba doesn't know how it works, and functions solely autonomously off your subconscious will, desires, and beliefs, and maybe can be affected by your active will, Kenjaku, he's smiling, genuinely. He's actually having real, proper fun. He's, ironically enough, making a friend in Takaba. I think that's nice. Once again, I'm not sure what would happen to me if I became immortal. I hope I don't ever walk down the path of Kenjaku, or like, Kingdom Hearts 3's been out for like 4 years now, or like Zigbar / Break / Lucia or anything like that, where it's like especially my immortality is dependent on like hopping bodies. I'm not even sure if I would want to do that, but like, I gotta imagine after the first like 5 lifetimes, you start to lose your connection to humanity, lose your connection to basic interests, things you've seen before. You may even want to subconsciously or actively want to suppress your connection to humanity, right? Because like, why would you want that? Why would you want to experience that loss, that pain, that fear? And if anything, it would turn you more clinical, more analytical, more scientific, because why not? It's the only thing, your studies and your interests are going to be the only thing that's actually going to last. All humans, what? I forget how old the longest lived human is, but let's be generous and say they like lived to 130. Kenjaku's been around for literally over a millennia. He's been around for a minute and a half, to say the bare minimum. Because remember, he comes all the way back from the Civil War period that Druve is from, which predates even the Heian era and predates even Sukuna, who's already from 1,000 years ago. So Kenjaku's been around. He's been knowledgeable. He's been this way. And sure, it's probably fine for him. He's probably in his insanity, the insanity that naturally comes with sorcery. He's managed to cope with it just fine. But ultimately, we see he does seek some sort of companionship, some sort of person who can be on his level. And sure, he does have Sukuna, someone who's beyond his level, but still, Sukuna is not the kind of guy who's going to sit around and chat with Kenjaku. It's not a thing that's going to happen. Sukuna is not the kind of guy who would play with him, who would bond with him on this deeper, almost insane level. Sukuna couldn't care less about any of that. He's Sukuna. But Kenjaku with Takaba, with this person who he cannot harm, with this person who is able to break the fundamental laws of reality, who's able to consistently shift and break phenomena and introduce new phenomena to the world, ultimately Kenjaku's kind of found that person that Hazanoki was described that he needed to be. A person who's as powerful as him. And in a way, considering Takaba's taken no damage and Kenjaku's the one accumulating it, but there's no like extreme disparity in power. Takaba is an equal to Kenny on power. He's not boring Kenjaku at all, either. Once again, due to the constant shift of phenomena, the consistent loss of Kenjaku's sanity by giving into these bits, like, ultimately, Kenjaku was getting what he wants through this connection to Takaba, which feels so weird to say, right? Like, how does this even make sense? They're two diametrically opposed beings. Takaba, at bare minimum, is this creature that is mostly good. I'd say almost entirely good. He's just a guy with a dream, a guy with a passion, like we all are. He just wants to succeed in certain ways. He doesn't want to hurt people. He doesn't want to do anything like that. He just wants to help and live a dream that he has. But Kenjaku, like, I'm not saying he's pure liquid distilled evil, but he's nowhere near a good guy. Like, he's definitely, his intentions are the furthest thing from pure. The merger in of itself is, I don't want to say it's an inherently evil concept, but it's an inherently evil concept. It's sacrificing the lives of literal millions of people in order to create something just for the kicks, the sick kicks of it all. So Kenjaku's this inherently opposed being to Takaba. You can just tell by how their natures naturally bounce off each other. But we see in this moment, as they both sit in the water or stand there and Kenjaku splashes water on Takaba, they're bonding. In a way, both has met each other's match. Kenjaku, someone more than knowledgeable enough on all the walks of life to understand comedy in a way that Takaba doesn't, and Takaba being a person who is more than powerful enough, more than interesting enough, more than strange enough to hold Kenjaku's interest. Honestly, if Takaba was born earlier in life, who knows? Maybe Kenny wouldn't even walk down this path because he and Takaba would still be friends forever. However, of course, we see that Kenjaku's realizing that ultimately these feelings, this happiness, this subconscious joy, the big old smile he has on his face, it's him, legally speaking, but it's not him. He still needs to remember, he needs to lock into this fight. And he suddenly breaks free. He breaks free of the phenomena and slams Takaba under the water. But suddenly, he's forced to stop as Takaba breaks free, and Takaba's like, wait, hold on. This water, this ocean water, it's insert soda here. And once again, Kenjaku finds himself losing it. He's actually genuinely laughing. And once again, I'm not sure if this is Takaba subconsciously forcing him to laugh, or Kenny just actually going insane. Like, once again, referencing back to the JJK community due to the break that we were on for a week. And there is no break this week. So we are getting another chapter next week. The insanity that I saw was beautiful. It was fantastic. It was immaculate. I loved it. I liked it. Like legitimately, that one punishment scene. I liked it. And I do it. Like, legitimately, I would love to go on another break just to see how far the community falls into mania with another break. But with Kenny experiencing this, it's so interesting to see him try and fight back. Because admittedly, right, this should be exactly what he wants. This is a person who's able to liberate him, who's able to interest him, who's able to be all the criteria that Kenny wants. But then again, this goes into introspective thing for Kenny, where it's like, well, maybe, is that what he really wants? Did he really want it? Why is he fighting back then? Why is he trying to resist it? But ultimately, he realizes that if he's to win, he needs to shift the tides. Because while Takaba is just kind of living through these gag scenarios, Kenjaku's actually accumulating damage. Kenjaku's actually burning through cursed energy. Kenjaku's slowly but surely weakening. And any bit of weakening that Kenjaku does is going to leave him more vulnerable. It's going to leave him more vulnerable to Maki, to Yuta, to... That's it. There's the grade ones they do another. They're all special grade curse victims. But with that being the case, Kenjaku decides to play the ultimate and final trump card. He suits up, and since Takaba has provided Kenjaku the dream that he always had, a rival, someone who could connect and interest him, Kenjaku decides to offer what Takaba's always looked for: a partner in crime, a partner in comedy. And we see the two go to take the stage before a crowd of people. And this is where Kenjaku aims to turn the tide. So, overall, a W chapter. I know this feels like a weird W chapter to give, especially considering there isn't much like outright character work. Like the last chapter was all character work, and if y'all know me, y'all know I love me some character work. But even still, this chapter in of itself, it still gives me those good character work vibes. Though this, ironically enough, despite being focused around Takuba's ability, it feels like a lot of character work for Kenjaku. And more revelations on Takuba's abilities and all that. Like, the chapter has a bunch of stuff in it that I really appreciate, and I can't wait to see it translated so I can actually break it down properly. However, that's what I think. Please, what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the bustin' brain in the comment section down below. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure to hit that notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You support for as low as $1 month. Exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also become a member of the channel for as low as member to the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I want to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Connor Plays and Redwolf4765. I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons, Winter, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, and Demix LND. I'd like to give another thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. I'd like to give another scrumdiddlyumptious thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchiha, Joaquin, and Ida Mokami. I'd like to give another thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give one final thank you to our $25 patrons, Igneal and Calvin Elder.